I 15F, never knew what a normal childhood felt like. Since I can remember, my life has been a series of rehearsals, recordings, and social media posts. My mother Nicole, 38F, a former teen pop sensation, and my father David 42M, a music producer, saw me as their ticket back to the lifestyle they were desperate not to lose. Look at her pitch control, David. She's perfect. This could relaunch my brand, my mother would say, hovering over my crib. I was too young to remember, of course, but she'd repeat that story like a broken record, as if proud of her foresight. Dad, a man of few words, would just adjust his recording equipment, turning our home into a perpetual studio. My earliest memories are filled with the sound of Mom's metronome and the glare of recording lights. By age 3, I was already learning breath control. Again, Madison. From the diaphragm. Mom would command, demonstrating the proper technique for what felt like the 100th time that day. Our home wasn't just a house, it was a training facility, complete with a professional recording studio in the basement and a dance room with wall-to-wall mirrors. At 4, I made my YouTube debut. The video went viral, toddler performs Whitney Houston's classic. 6 million views in the first week. Mom was ecstatic, already planning the next video while reading comments aloud. See, David? I told you she was special. This is just the beginning. The comments section became her Bible, each view count a prophecy of our future success. Growing up, I barely noticed the constant presence of microphones or Mom's relentless ambition. It was just how things were. My playdates were more like auditions, with Mom directing every note. Higher, Madison. No, not like that. Think Disney princess, not playground. I tried to please her, always tried. Maybe because every perfect take was paired with her rare gleaming approval, or maybe because I didn't know anything else. By age 7, my YouTube channel had over 2 million subscribers. Minnie Madison, the voice of an angel, became a brand. Mom managed everything, my diet, my schedule, my friendships. Other kids at school would ask me to play during recess, but Mom had strictly forbidden any activities that might strain my voice. I'd watch from the classroom window as they played tag and jumped rope, their laughter floating up like a melody I wasn't allowed to join. Even dinner time wasn't normal. We didn't talk about school or friends, it was always about branding, upcoming performances, and Mom's new ideas to keep her followers hooked. Clean eating isn't just healthy, Madison, it's marketable. Right now, you're my little star, and stars don't eat junk. The dining table was more like a business meeting, with Mom scrolling through potential sponsorship deals while measuring my portions with clinical precision. Dad tried to shield me when he could. In those rare quiet mornings before Mom woke up, he'd make pancakes, drizzling extra syrup and letting me toss in handfuls of chocolate chips. Don't tell your mom, he'd wink, our sweet secret shared in whispers. But freedom was always fleeting. As soon as Mom's footsteps echoed down the hall, it was back to business, hair brushed, face washed, and dressed in whatever outfit she'd laid out for that day's content creation. Our house was always filled with people, vocal coaches, choreographers, social media managers, brand representatives. Each one with their own demands, their own vision of what Minnie Madison should be. Every week brought new collaborations, new songs to master, new routines to perfect. She's a natural performer, they'd tell Mom, who would beam with calculated pride. We knew it from day one. My grandparents, Jerry, 65M, and Grace, 63F, were the only ones who saw through the facade. Their visits became my sanctuary, brief moments when I could just be a kid. Children need sunshine and scraped knees, not spotlights and scripts, Grandpa would argue, his voice carrying down the hallway during heated discussions with Mom. Grace would sit with me in my room during these arguments, teaching me to knit or sharing stories about Mom when she was my age, before fame changed her. One night, I overheard them arguing more intensely than usual. This isn't a childhood, Nicole, it's a business plan. Grandpa's voice thundered. You're turning her into a product. Mom's response was cold and calculated, welcome to the modern world, Dad. Madison has opportunities one never had. I'm not letting her waste them like I did. The pressure kept mounting. By the time I was 14, my schedule was brutal, up at 5 a.m. for vocal warm-ups, online schooling between recording sessions, dance training, brand meetings, and constant content creation. My channel had grown to 5 million subscribers, each new video scrutinized by an army of commenters. Mom would read every comment, adjusting our strategy based on the feedback. Your last video only got 800,000 views, Madison. We need to step up our game. I started noticing changes in my voice first, a slight raspiness, an occasional crack. Dad heard it too. Nicole, she needs rest. Her voice sounds strained. But Mom wouldn't hear it. We had contracts to fulfill, sponsors to please. Push through it, Madison. Professionals don't take breaks. Then came that fateful recording session. We were working on a cover of a challenging pop song, take after take for hours. My throat felt like sandpaper, each note more painful than the last. Something's wrong, I managed to croak out. I can't. Mom's face darkened. We're not stopping until it's perfect. Think about all the people waiting for this video. The next morning, I couldn't speak. My throat was on fire, my body burning with fever. Dad wanted to take me to the hospital immediately, but Mom was busy canceling appearances and dealing with sponsors. Just give her honey and lemon tea, she snapped. We can't afford delays right now. But when the fever wouldn't break, even Mom couldn't deny the severity anymore. At the hospital, the diagnosis hit like a thunderbolt: severe vocal cord inflammation with potential permanent damage. Without complete vocal rest and proper treatment, she may never sing professionally again, the doctor explained. Mom's face went through a series of emotions: shock, denial, anger, and finally, a cold calculation I'd seen too many times before. The hospital became my new home. White walls replaced recording studio foam, machine beeps substituted for metronome clicks. Days blurred together, marked only by Mom's increasingly infrequent visits. When she did come, it was with her phone in hand, scrolling through declining subscriber counts and sponsor cancellations. Do you understand what this is doing to us? She'd ask, as if my illness was a calculated betrayal. Dad visited more often, sitting quietly by my bed, his guilt visible in every line of his face. He'd try to make jokes, share stories, anything to lift my spirits. But I could see the whiskey on his breath, smell it in the air around him as the weeks dragged on. Our father-daughter pancake mornings seemed like a distant dream. After 2 months of treatment, the verdict was clear: my voice would never be the same. I could speak, yes, but the crystal-clear high notes that had made Mini Madison famous were gone forever. Mom's visits stopped entirely after that news. Dad would make excuses for her, but his eyes told a different story. Last night changed everything. Through the vents of our massive house, I heard them fighting downstairs. Mom's voice was shrill, desperate. I can't do this anymore, David. Look at her. Look what she's become. All our work, all our plans were ruined. Dad's response was slurred, defeated. She's still our daughter, Nicole. We can't just throw her away. That's exactly what we're going to do, Mom shot back. Here, give her this and make it look like she ran away. Maybe some robber will do us a favor tonight and get rid of the problem. Dad's heavy footsteps on the stairs sent my heart racing. When he opened my door, he was a shadow of himself, eyes bloodshot and avoiding mine. We're going for a drive, Madison, he mumbled. I followed him to the car, my body trembling with each step. We drove to a part of town I'd never seen, dark streets lined with abandoned buildings. Dad stopped the car, his hands shaking on the wheel. I'm so sorry, Madison. I don't know what else to do. He pressed his phone into my hand. Keep this. Please forgive me. Then he left, leaving me alone in the darkness. But they made one crucial mistake: they left the SIM card in the phone. With shaking fingers, I dialed the one number I knew by heart. Grandpa? Please help me. I'm scared. I don't know where I am. Hold on, sweetheart, Grandpa's voice was firm, a lifeline in the darkness. We're coming. Stay hidden and keep the phone on. I huddled behind a dumpster, counting the seconds until I saw headlights sweep around the corner. Now I'm at my grandparents' house, safe but still processing everything. They're talking about getting legal custody of me. The thought of going back to my parents terrifies me, but part of me still struggles with this decision. 15 years of conditioning doesn't disappear overnight. I needed to share this somewhere. Thank you for reading. Update 1: Living with my grandparents has opened my eyes to what family really means. It's been 3 months since that night, and I want to share how things have changed. First, let me thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support helped more than you know. The transition hasn't been easy, but it's been healing. Grandpa Jerry and Grandma Grace's house feels like stepping into a different world. There's no recording equipment, no schedules, no pressure to perform. Instead, there's the smell of fresh-baked cookies, the sound of birds in the garden, and endless patience as I learn what it means to just be a teenager. My first week here, I kept waiting for someone to tell me what to do, when to practice, what to eat. Instead, Grandma asked what I'd like for breakfast. I burst into tears because I couldn't remember the last time anyone had asked what I wanted. She just hugged me and waited until I could speak again. Therapy has been a major part of my recovery. Dr. Anderson, my therapist, helped me understand that what my parents did wasn't just abandonment, it was years of exploitation. She's helping me process not only that final night but all the years leading up to it. It's hard work, but I'm starting to see myself as more than just a voice. The legal proceedings are moving forward. My grandparents' lawyer, Ms. Thompson, is confident about getting permanent custody. She says the evidence of exploitation and abandonment is overwhelming. The police are also investigating my parents for child endangerment, though I have mixed feelings about that. School has been an unexpected source of joy. I'm attending a regular high school for the first time, no more online classes between recording sessions. It was overwhelming at first, I didn't know how to talk to other kids my age. But my classmates have been surprisingly understanding. A girl named Lucy has become my closest friend. She plays guitar and loves music too, but in a completely different way than what I knew before. Speaking of music, I've started playing piano again. Not for videos or performances, just for myself. Grandpa found an old upright piano at a yard sale and surprised me with it. The first time I sat down to play, I was terrified my voice would try to join in out of habit. But instead, I just let my fingers do the talking. Now I'm learning to compose my own songs. They're different from what I used to perform, slower, more introspective. My voice isn't what it used to be, but I'm discovering new ways to express myself through music. Mom tried to contact me once, through my old social media accounts. She'd posted a tearful video about her missing daughter, and how she just wants me home. The comments were filled with supporters demanding I return to Minnie Madison. Grandpa helped me delete all those accounts. It was scary at first, watching those subscriber numbers disappear, but also liberating. Dad hasn't tried to contact me directly, but I heard from Mom's sister that he's in rehab. Part of me hopes he's getting the help he needs. Another part isn't ready to think about forgiveness yet. My vocal cords are slowly healing, though they'll never be the same. The new specialist, Dr. Roberts, says I might be able to sing casually again someday, but my days of hitting those high notes are over. Surprisingly, I'm okay with that. Music is becoming something new for me, a friend rather than a taskmaster. Last week, I had my first real birthday party. Not a carefully choreographed event for content creation, but a genuine celebration with actual friends. Lucy and some other kids from school came over. We had cake, real cake, not the sugar-free kind Mom insisted on, played games, and just hung out. I kept waiting for someone to tell me to perform for the guests, but nobody did. Instead, we ended up having an impromptu jam session in the garage, Lucy on guitar, me on piano, everyone else joining in however they wanted. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Grandma has been teaching me normal teenage things, how to bake cookies, how to paint my nails, how to just relax and watch TV without worrying about maintaining my image. Grandpa takes me fishing on weekends. I'm terrible at it, but he says that's not the point. We sit in his little boat, talking about everything and nothing, and I'm learning that silence doesn't have to be filled with performance. The court date for the custody hearing is next month. Ms. Thompson says I might need to testify about what happened. The thought terrifies me, but I know it's necessary. Both my therapist and grandparents will be there to support me. Mom's lawyers have been trying to paint this as a simple family misunderstanding, but the evidence, including Dad's phone with its GPS history from that night, tells a different story. I'm nervous about the hearing, but also hopeful. For the first time, I feel like I have a future that's my own to shape. I'm thinking about joining the school choir, not as a soloist, just as part of the group. The choir director knows my story and promises there's no pressure. It's strange how singing without pressure feels like an entirely different activity. I'll update again after the custody hearing. Thank you all for being part of my journey toward finding my real voice. Update 2: The past year has transformed me in ways I never imagined possible. After winning the custody case, thank you all for your support during that difficult time. Life has taken some unexpected but beautiful turns. Let me start with the biggest news: I'm composing my own music now. Not the commercial pop songs my mother used to make me perform, but pieces that tell my story. It started as simple melodies I'd play on Grandpa's old piano, but has grown into something more. My music teacher, Ms. Bennett, noticed I had a knack for composition and has been mentoring me. She understands my past and never pushes me to perform if I'm not comfortable. The custody hearing was intense. Mom showed up in full performance mode, complete with professional makeup and a camera crew from a documentary team. The judge saw right through it and ordered them to leave. When she took the stand, she tried to paint a picture of a loving mother whose talented daughter was stolen by jealous grandparents. But the evidence was overwhelming: years of documented overwork, medical records showing systematic voice damage, and of course, that final night. Dad's testimony was different. After 3 months in rehab, he appeared in court sober and subdued. He admitted everything: the exploitation, the abandonment, his own cowardice. While Mom stared daggers at him, he told the judge about the years of pushing me beyond my limits, the ignored medical warnings, and that horrible night. His honesty probably helped our case, but I'm still not ready to forgive him. The judge's decision was clear: full custody to my grandparents. Mom stormed out of the courtroom, already on her phone planning her next move. Dad just sat there, shoulders slumped, as his lawyer explained the visitation restrictions. I haven't seen either of them since. School life has completely changed. I'm no longer in mini Madison, I'm just Madison, a regular high school sophomore who happens to love music. Lucy and I started a small band with some other kids. We practice in her garage, playing covers and now some of my original songs. No pressure, no perfectionism, just friends making music together. My voice has found its new normal. It's deeper now, with a slight raspiness that Dr. Roberts says is permanent. While I can't hit those stratospheric notes anymore, I've discovered a rich lower register I never knew I had. Lucy says it gives me a unique sound, perfect for the indie folk style we're developing. Speaking of the band, we played our first gig last month at the local coffee shop. Nothing like the massive venues Mom used to book, but it felt more real than any of those performances. When I got nervous before going on, nobody pushed me to power through. Instead, my friends and grandparents just supported me, letting me know it was okay, even if I decided not to perform. But I did perform, and the applause at the end wasn't for Minnie Madison, it was for me. Grandma has become my closest confidant. She understands family trauma, having watched her own daughter, my mom, change from a loving child into an ambitious stage mother. Late at night, over hot chocolate, she shares stories about Mom's childhood, helping me understand how the cycle of exploitation began. It doesn't excuse what my parents did, but it helps me process it. The most unexpected change has been in my relationship with social media. After deleting my old accounts, which had millions of followers, I started a small, private account where I share bits of my music journey. No fancy production, no perfectionism, just honest posts about learning and growing. Some of my old fans found it and were surprisingly supportive of the new direction. I've started mentoring younger kids at the local music school, teaching basic piano. It's healing to show them that music can be joyful rather than demanding. When one little girl told me she was afraid of making mistakes, I shared my story, the age-appropriate version. Now she knows that mistakes are just part of learning. The legal aftermath continues. Mom's trying to write a book about her side of the story, painting herself as a devoted mother who sacrificed everything for my career. Her publisher reached out for my collaboration, offering a significant sum. I declined. My story isn't for sale anymore. Therapy continues to be crucial. Dr. Anderson has helped me understand that my worth isn't tied to my performances or anyone's approval. We're working through the complex emotions I have about my parents, the anger, the grief, the lingering desire for their approval that I'm learning to let go of. Life at my grandparents' house has settled into a comfortable routine. Weekday mornings start with breakfast together, real food, not the strict diet Mom enforced. Weekends often find us in the garden, where Grandpa's teaching me about plants. Each one grows at its own pace, he says, and I know he's not just talking about the flowers. Looking ahead, I'm considering studying music therapy in college. The way music helped me heal makes me want to help others do the same. My grades are good, and Ms. Bennett thinks I have a real shot at several music programs. Most importantly, I'm learning who Madison is without the -ine prefix. Turns out, she's someone I actually like, a regular teenager who enjoys pizza with friends, occasional video game marathons with Lucy, and yes, making music, but on her own terms. To everyone who's followed my journey, thank you. Your support has meant everything. I'll update again when there's more to share, but for now, I'm just enjoying being a normal kid. Well, as normal as anyone can be after what I've been through. Update 3, here's my final update, and it's a big one. At 19, looking back at my first post from 4 years ago feels like reading about a different person. I promised to update after significant changes, and graduating from high school while preparing for my first professional music showcase seems significant enough. These past 4 years at my grandparents' house have been transformative. The scared 15-year-old who once hid behind a dumpster has grown into someone who recently stood on stage at Carnegie Hall, not as a singer, but as a composer. My piece, Second Voice, was performed by the Youth Symphony Orchestra, telling my story through instrumental music alone. The journey to this point has been intense. After my last update, I threw myself into composition studies. My music teacher, Ms. Bennett, connected me with a renowned composer who recognized something unique in my work, the way I translate trauma into melody, pain into harmony. Under his mentorship, I developed my own style, blending classical structure with contemporary elements. My college acceptance letters arrived last month. I've been offered a full scholarship to Berklee College of Music's composition program, along with acceptances from several other prestigious music schools. The irony isn't lost on me, I'm entering the music world again, but this time on my terms. Let me address the question many of you have asked. Yes, my parents tried to come back into my life. Mom's book, Stage Mother's Truth, was published last year, full of revisionist history about our relationship. She appeared on several talk shows, crying about her lost daughter and how she was misunderstood. The publicity tour brought a new wave of unwanted attention. Dad's story took a different turn. After completing rehab and therapy, he sent a letter through my grandparents' lawyer. Unlike Mom's public attempts at reconciliation, his letter was private, honest, and made no demands. He acknowledged every mistake, accepted full responsibility, and expressed genuine remorse about that night. He's teaching music to troubled youth now, trying to prevent others from making his mistakes. The most unexpected development came during my senior recital 3 months ago. I was premiering my latest composition, Midnight Silence, inspired by that night they abandoned me. Halfway through the performance, I noticed Dad sitting in the back row. He left immediately after, but later sent a note, "You found your true voice. I'm sorry I tried to force you to be something else." I haven't responded yet. Maybe someday. My voice has actually evolved in interesting ways. While I'll never have my old range back, I've discovered a unique jazz folk style that works with my new vocal texture. Lucy and our band have built a modest following in the local music scene. We even released an EP of original songs on Spotify. It's nothing like the millions of views I used to get, but every stream represents someone choosing to listen, not being told to buy a marketing campaign. The biggest change isn't in my music, though, it's in my understanding of success. Last week, I taught my final piano lesson before heading to college. My youngest student, a 7-year-old girl, hugged me and said, "I love music because it's fun with you." That meant more than any viral video ever did. Grandpa's health gave us a scare last month, which put everything in perspective. Watching him in the hospital, I realized he and Grandma didn't just save me that night, they showed me what real love looks like. They're coming with me to Boston when I start college, having decided to retire near campus. "We've got a few more life lessons to teach you," Grandma winked. My advocacy work has taken off in unexpected ways. After giving a TEDx talk about child exploitation in entertainment, I've been working with legislators to strengthen protection laws for young performers. The Madison Act is currently being considered in several states, requiring mandatory rest periods and trust funds for child entertainers. Last week, Mom appeared at my grandparents' door, unannounced. She looked older, less polished than her TV appearances. "I'm selling the mansion," she said. "I thought you might want some of your old things." I declined. "Everything I need is here, in this modest house with its slightly overgrown garden and out-of-tune upright piano." Looking ahead, I'm excited about college and the future beyond. The band will continue, Lucy's enrolling in a nearby art school, and we're already planning collaborative projects. My first professional commission arrived yesterday. A local orchestra wants me to compose a piece about resilience and rebirth. To the scared kids out there in similar situations, your voice matters, whether it's singing, composing, or just speaking your truth. To the parents pushing their children too hard, talent isn't a commodity, and childhood isn't a business opportunity. This will be my last update. That chapter of my life is closed. The journey from Mini Madison to just Madison is complete. To everyone who supported me through this transformation, thank you. You helped me find not just my voice, but myself.